Добрый день.
Good afternoon. I suggest that we start our session. Not very easy to address, and fortunately we have very outstanding speakers, just presenters, how the new professions, the transformation of the labor market from science fiction to reality. Science fiction was ahead of the move, and it was the food to the searching mind. In fact, German Titov, our cosmonaut, astronaut, recalled the novels he read when he was in the small boy, and Mr. Korolov, the project manager to develop the rocket science in Russia, also referred to the novels. And today the things speed up. And we see that to address the fantastic phenomenon, how the science fiction writers can predict how we will live and work tomorrow, to what extent media can be instrumental and viral, as we say today. Can businessmen, start-uppers, set up their business based on the science fiction ideas, and how young people can select their future occupations based on that, and many issues to be addressed by the panelists, and we'd like to walk through the trail. So who are they? Roberto Quale, the science writer, Italy, Boris Kanchelan, deputy CEO Gazprom Media, Alexander Bugaev, the first deputy minister of education, Russian Federation, Anna Stepanova, deputy vice president on education projects in VK company, Dmitry Peskov, general director, autonomous non-commercial organization platform, a national technological initiative. Pavel Stepanov, CEO in Geoscan Moscow Ltd, Artem Kumpel, the senior managing director in Invitato company, and Albert Yefimov, vice president, director from Sberbank. We have Nikolai Garkovy joining us online from US. He's an astrophysicist and science fiction writer. And I can share with you the results of polling 1,200 people, and the results that we obtained are quite amazing. About 30% are familiar with the genre of science fiction, and they read, watch, and play video games, and about 50% did that before. Quite often the young people aged from 18 to 34 years are doing that. The people who are about to join the real sector of economy, the most popular formats, books and movies. About 50% of respondents advocated the science fiction develops interest in profession, just occupations. About 26% think that this doesn't play a major role. But when you select the occupation, not many people are following what they read in science fiction books, only 14%, and they selected engineering and science, and 82% said that they didn't take this into account. And I would like to start our discussion how you feel about that. Were you inspired by the science fiction novels, and maybe you selected your occupation based on the Roberta, the floor is yours.
Yes, so of course I was very much influenced by science fiction. I grew up reading science fiction, and I am of, let's say, the school of Robert Sheckley, who was a very popular science fiction writer. We became also very good friends in his last part of his life. And he was the first one who actually saw the rotten apple, the worm inside the beautiful apple of Western happiness, of Western success. And he created the so-called sociological science fiction in the 50s already. So at that time, dystopian stories were the exception, because there was a very optimistic view on the future from the side of science fiction writers. So I'm of that school, so I started, let's say, with a caustic, skeptical, and sometimes cynical approach on the future, when the apple of Western happiness and civilization was looking immaculate, but there was the worm inside. So now, recently, I've changed my position in that. In the whole West, science fiction authors increasingly write dystopian. So the view on the future has changed. Now, everything that they envision usually is a tragedy. Why did it change? Perhaps because this beautiful apple of Western civilization has been eaten by the worm, who has actually replicated, and now you don't see the apple anymore. I mean, you see just a blob of worms. Sorry, this is my, my view. And basically the apple lives on only in the hallucinations of those who actually cannot, accept it, So what happens? That the science fiction now envisions a tragic future, a dystopian future. So in my view, now it becomes more interesting to try to envision, let's say, a new reborn. I mean, a positive future. So to try to see what's good, what can be a new start, for a new kind of civilization.
Спасибо, Борис, за такой развернутый. Спасибо, Роберт.
Thank you, Roberta, for such a detailed comment. Boris, were you inspired by science fiction literature? Well, if I recall the Avatar movie, it looked like a super fantastic situation. It was, but today Avatar is penetrated the cinema industry, and everything that deals with that tells that what we saw about 10, 15 years ago penetrated the present, and we are afraid to predict what will be in the future, and be afraid of your wishes, because they can become true. So the project Guest from the Future, for instance, at the beginning it looked unrealistic, but today we see how the equipment works, and all the gadgets were predicted by the science fiction. I can speak a lot about that, but this stimulates developing certain things that become realistic through the projects that we implement in the reality. Alexander, do you have a favorable science fiction novel? Of course I have. I was brought up reading science fiction: Asimov, Bradbury, Hamilton, Stanislav Lem. These are the things that shaped up my mindset. And I'm resolute that the contemporary science fiction writers are shaping up the future. So this is their calling. Anna, what about you? Well, I'm slightly different. I was inspired by my parents who were involved in reading the Soviet science fiction, which was popular in those years. And they became engineers being inspired by that. When I looked at them, I remember that in the 11th grade I read through the quantum mechanics textbook, and I was inspired by this textbook, and I think it was a very inspirational textbook, and I graduated psychology department and then graduated from the mathematics department. Dmitry, do you have favorable novel or science fiction writer? Well, I'm on industrial side. Well, Robert Shekel in the 50s just wrote a novel which I followed, but my mindset was shaped up by critical analysis rather than by novels themselves. I remember that the best analysis of the future in a short format I met in a text that the guest from the future Moscow depicted there was the view of the world after the nuclear war. So if you look at that, you will see the robot that you cannot shoot from using a conventional gun. The Moscow school children who are undergoing the training, SEAL training, and two of my favorite contemporary science fiction writers, Neil Stevenson and Rozov from Russia. They are not as widely known as the classics. They very accurately outline the world. Pavel, you know about the fantastic birds. Maybe you have, this is from your past. I am just reading Star Wars. Many things that we watched on the screen is comparable and compatible. In my childhood, I loved just assembling the models of the planes and the rockets. And I think it influenced what I'm doing right now. So right now I'm doing this very thing, the rocket science. This is my calling. In fact, this is a follow-up of what I read in the past, Isaac Asimov and Star Wars, and I was inspired by the content, and now it's getting realistic and tangible. Thank you. Artyom, the floor is yours. In fact, I will echo with what Pavel said. We are of the same, about the same age, and there were vacations, and with my children I watched Star Wars, and they were not surprised that at the storage facility there were robots working, and when I analyzed the situation, I just came to a conclusion that now we have robots, vacuum cleaners, and robotic storage facilities, but when in the 70s we watched it for the first time, it looked just super fantastic. You couldn't just perceive it. It was a revelation for you. So I think we are we read almost the same books. My children are just reading, and I wished to be the astronaut, but I didn't become the astronaut. But from speaking about my perception of the world, I felt that the world will change, and we would have many things that might be restricted only by your mind, and this is the accomplishment of the science fiction. Robert, I will start with, well, science fiction doesn't predict anything. This is, well, only science predicts. The rest is imagination of the writers, and I think Anna spoke exactly about this. Speaking about myself, Of course, I was thrilled with science fiction. We were not reading the same book. We were reading different books. If we were reading the same book, there wouldn't be a dialogue between us. I would point out two things worth mentioning, and they shaped up my mindset. First, Black Cloud, Fred Hoyle's, by Fred Hoyle. Fred Hoyle just discovered for us the thing that we consist of the same element that the space is consist of. So in addition of making such a discovery, he wrote science fiction. The Black Cloud is the best thing he wrote. I was 9 when I read, and I reread this book on many occasions, and I was thrilled that there was a character called the King's astrophysicist, and this guy was saving world, and I didn't become such a thing. But what I'm doing in the Sberbank, I'm responsible for the research, and I'm doing photon chips, robot techniques, AI, and many things. I didn't become the cosmonaut, but GigaChat will be in September aboard the cosmic vehicle. What Pavel said, I agree that before the rocket science, lemon jumps the level of noise. This is the novel. This is a short story, and this was televised. It was shown, and the gravitation engine was discovered. They do not exist right now, but you should penetrate this hurdle to look wider at things. So the Black Cloud and the level of noise. Nikolai, are you with us? You are both astrophysicist and a writer at the same time. Yes, I am. I'm here. Of course, I was a great fan of science fiction. This was facilitated by the fact that my mother was the director of the library, so the science fiction that was delivered to the Soviet Union was available for me. You're a happy person. You had a unique opportunity to read through all these books. I agree with you. In the Soviet time, the science fiction was published in huge print runs. There was a library of, it was published from 1953 through 1951, 100,000 and reaching 1 million print run, but it was very difficult to find these books. And in my library, I have the, the country of the red clouds, and many of you remember this series. I disagree that science writers do not predict. The science writers, many of them, they are scientists. Isaac Asimov, one of 3 biggest, he had PhD in biochemistry. He had encyclopedic knowledge. He wrote cosmology books, very popular. And to write these books like that, Jules Verne, the whole life he spent in the library, he was traveling, he was well-educated person. So the science writers do not only predict, and I agree with Alexander, the science fiction writers, they are creating, making future, they're thinking about things that do not exist yet, and then engineers come and do their best to implement these things in practice. For instance, Elon Musk is very a fan of science fiction. So he accelerated in China, the people are very businesslike and they invest into the science fiction. And for me, the science fiction became a very important startup accelerator. So I ended up as astrophysicist.
Тогда двинуться сразу.
Thank you very much, Nikolai, and let us continue our discussion. In certain sense, you preempt my question, and my question is the following: how it happens that reading the books, watching fantastic videos, we now in some years or maybe some decades we see something that is available now around us. So you as a scientist, you as a science fiction writer, how we can find ideas how it will look like tomorrow, and what is the situation with the science fiction today? As I said, science fiction writers are not just dreamers. Many sci-fi writers, they became an important factor of scientific and technological progress. Actually, Jules Verne inspired Tsiolkovsky, and I think Jules Verne was one of the key figures of sci-fi literature in 19th and 20th century. I think they're professional thinkers. They know very much. They feel certain trends in the population among the citizens, and what they predict is some kind of extrapolation, what the people want to see. People have a steam driver, but they want the steam driver to fly. Saint-Dumont, who actually was one of the pioneers of aviation, and he maybe did more than Brothers Wright. He published the drawings of his plane, and he was very much inspired by Jules Verne. The brothers Strugatsky, the sci-fi authors, they also predicted quite a lot. They predicted the all-planet informatory, and they also predicted the bacteria that feed on radiation. Recently, these bacteria were discovered. And Boris Strugatsky was a professional astronomer. Why the sci-fi influenced so much upon the Russian science and technology? Because this was a connection. Boris Strugatsky was an astronomer, and then he understood that the sci-fi literature is a whole profession. So he switched to sci-fi literature. He was receiving an income that supported him, and this printouts of 100,000 copies were very popular. Now the printing are not more than 3,000 to 4,000. And they don't give that much income to the writers. You know why Jules Verne became so popular? Because when he was 35 years old, he was right already, and the editor signed a contract with him saying that Jules Verne must write 3 volumes of sci-fi a year, collecting all the information about geography, astronomy, physics, and he should explain this in a very attractive form. So Jules Verne wrote 70 books that inspired millions of people. At the same time, he was very rich. He had his own yacht. He traveled a lot. And now, maybe a sci-fi writer does not have that much income. I wrote only 4 books because my scientific work is my is what I earn money with, and sci-fi is my hobby. So maybe we should reinitiate this series. Let us select 10 very good sci-fi books. We will publish them 100,000 volumes each. And the cost of such a book is just 100 rubles, or maybe 200 rubles. This is just $10. And with this, this literature will help to inspire people. I'm now writing the 5th book. It is talking about the artificial intelligence, and imagine there is a community of artificial intelligence. Imagine 100 of chat GPTs that are communicating between each other and getting consultancy how to cope with the humanity. I used to work with the editorial publishing house. Now everything is getting bigger and bigger. At the level of Moscow, of the Russian capital, it is not possible to get directly to the chief editor, and they are risking. The main figures are marketing director, financial director, etc. So I plan to publish the 5th book, but I understand that this sci-fi literature will not work for the future of Russia before it is given the proper support on behalf of the Ministry of Education. As a matter of fact, this is not a non-profitable activity. The market can provide the necessary benefits. Okay, thank you very much, and let us go on. I would like to ask the question to Roberto. He represents the creators in the sci-fi literature. Roberto, you used to say that at one of our previous meetings, we should think about the positive things and to implement these positive things in life, because anti-utopia is a tragic literature, but what we have to do so that the sci-fi literature predict the future, so that we are inspired selecting our professions, our businesses, where we can implement and realize ourselves.
It's impossible probably to really predict the future, because the future is always surpassing imagination. So it's always like that. Sometimes we can imagine something that actually becomes real. I would say that a good science fiction writer should be like the Schrödinger's cat, but let's say Schrödinger's science fiction writer. So a science fiction writer that writes a future which will happen or not, and then only when the observer will watch it in the future, we will know if it was a good prediction or not. But it must be plausible from the beginning. So it's very important, you know, that whatever is imagined is plausible in the first place. This is what actually defines a very good science fiction. Every kind of society which has, in the modern times, which has thrives technologically, has as a common aspect a big, let's say, level of penetration of science fiction imagination in the population. This was the case of the United States, and as far as I know, the Chinese government in the past tried to understand the secret of American technological success and find out that science fiction was one of the common denominators of every innovator in America. We mentioned Elon Musk is a fan of science fiction, but not only him. So all of them. And so now China is pushing for science fiction to develop in the country. So there is a state intervention in order to trigger interest in imagining a positive future. And I think that this is now paying out because China is now the number one producer of artificial intelligence, documents. So actually, this I think is one of the streets to create ways to create a positive, let's say, outcome for the population, starting from science fiction. Just promote it because it must be an inspiration. It's not a matter of prediction, it's a matter of inspiration. It is a way to create good dreams, and good dreams are effective, and as soon as one idea appears somewhere in the mind of a science fiction writer, it will appear also somewhere else, because it's just like a hologrammatic reality. And the good ideas at some point will have a critical mass and establish the new standards of reality.
Спасибо большое. Интересная мысль.
Thank you very much. This was a very nice idea that instead of giving instructions, the sci-fi literature should inspire people. Indeed, you touched upon a very good idea of the penetration of science fiction literature. And I would like to give the floor to Boris. Maybe he would explain how these fantastic dreams can become reality. I know that the Gazprom Media Holding made a certain research of the images of sci-fi characters. Do you have practical results, or the audience thinks in a different way? Yes, indeed, audience is very important for us because we work for the sake of our audience, of the public, and our KPIs are aimed at achieving the maximum audience in all environments, in television, in digital platforms, and VAD platforms. We are good at that. So, nevertheless, we still have to investigate what character should be a superhero, and Russian superhero. Some time ago, we lost our cautiousness, and for a long period of time, American superheroes were our attractive characters, and we did not care a lot about producing our own content. Just for your information, last year we manufactured and put out more than 3,000 hours of the exclusive content. We still need to set out our plans for the future and to forecast different research. So what did we do? We took the content for the previous 40 years, we analyzed this, and we understood that everything goes around a normal average person, and our superhero is an average person who just gets into unusual situations. And this is very good. This is an easy content, easy to produce. And we now understand that 20% of the surveyed persons, and our surveys were based on different audiences, on different public, independent of their professions, statuses. And in all focus groups, we had different people, but we understood that 28% of the Russian people see a doctor as a superhero. A doctor is a person of the future, and this was a very interesting project. So we are doing projects like this. Some people see a policeman like a superhero. Other people want to convert themselves into the military officers. Quite a lot of young people want to be military or soldiers, even girls. It's not because we want to attack somebody, but we want to protect ourselves. We want to build up the defense industries. The people want security, and we are moving in this direction. If we talk about other things, we made quite strong research, actually. We were very serious. Our manager in this, Mr. Sanjarov, he communicated directly with the people, and he went himself very deep into this survey. We understand now that an image of a doctor or a teacher or a policeman, the main part of this image is the patriotic character. A doctor, patriotic doctor, or a teacher, patriotic teacher, are very typical. So our franchising projects, we plan to launch franchising projects. We model it not only for Russia but for the whole world, and we take steps in this direction. We are fairly successful in this. We cooperate with different institutions and ministries. One of the latest projects, and we did this based on all our research during last 5 years. One of the best projects is the TV show Challenge, Вызов. The producers who make this, well, some producers actually rejected our proposal because they didn't believe that this something will come out of it. The producers did not believe that the audience will see this positive, because we took the students who are actually non-professional, they are not superheroes, but as the figures showed that the first season of the Challenge of Vizov show, quite a big number of 7 to 8% of the Russian audience was following this project. We've had already several seasons, and this year we're going to shoot a new season in different parts of Russia, and foreign media holdings also watched this season. So we are now conducting negotiations in order to shoot a similar project abroad. Gazprom Media is developing abroad as well. We are the leaders in this. We are shooting the projects in China. We filmed a new movie with the participation of Mikhail Galustian in India. And we understand and we feel that the people are aware abroad about our projects. The most important thing that we promote is that we promote this in small villages and towns, and quite a lot of people see this and they want to follow these trends, like they have earrings or some decorations, like in our movies. But we have the correct culture code, and we have to conduct this not only through Russia but abroad as well. So we are going to continue our research, and we are going to use the results to promote our contents, to produce our content, in order not to be ashamed of what we are doing. Boris, one more question. Thank you very much for your question, and one more for your answer, and one more question from my side. Maybe you share your plans for research and scientific content, maybe sci-fi content. Yes, we have quite a lot of projects being developed now. We know that major movie companies are trying to get back to Russia, and in this regard we have quite a lot of projects. As to the sci-fi activities, we have a couple of projects, but I'm not entitled to talk about them. Maybe we will be waiting for them, but for sure you can be you should expect our content, and we'll tell you more about it later. As to this scientific research content, we have 2,600 residents. Residents are not just foreign agents, other type of residents. Don't think that way. So with the participation of these foreign participants, we shot the show Challenge Vizov, and on the basis of this project we go ahead. As I said, we are going to continue our filming abroad, and I think that this new project also will be available. You are welcome to come to TNT and Premiere Studios, and all our contents will be available. Alexander, a question to you. A provocative question. The system of education. Do you think that our educational system is ready to teach young people for the future professions? As a matter of fact, I think this is the main challenge, because the world is changing very fast. Some decades ago, this was the generation of my parents, it was sufficient to get an education once in a lifetime, but today the world is changing so fast that you have to have a lifelong education. And another point is that we have quite a high demand for the working professions, and they are not the same like some decades ago. The working professions, they are not just the workers' professions. They are, first of all, engineering professions. The engineering education is growing very fast in our country, and there's high demand for this. And at present, about 60% of the higher school graduates go to the working professions.
And this is very important, what will be in the future, because the education, this is long-term, the standards should be more flexible. It should be some legal approach whereby the employer just putting together the labor force. We cannot just take many years to develop this standard, because during this time the occupation will die out, and we have new twists in our education system. We are putting young people through colleges, and this is ongoing chase. Well, we should progress step in step with time, and I think the professional training is taking the right track. Can you share with us an occupation which we cannot... I can share with you my observations and emotions in one of the colleges in our company, big regional college, and the level of equipment is much better than in universities. And I was surprised to see girls studying and IT applications, for instance, cablers, cable routers. And I asked the girls, why you are just looking at this as a future, and I was looked sideways, and this makes us to change too. And for instance, software engineers is provided by the colleges. You should be aware of many things and to become a scientist, but on a basic level, it's sufficient to graduate from the college. Anna, you are the person representing the employer and the employer who is waiting when some magic thing happens and falls from the sky, or you're just you're proactive, you're doing your work. What are you doing? So that we can plan our work, we start working with students to ensure they are ready. And I support Alexander about the flexibility of education system. I can tell you that over the recent years, the education system is just showing high efficiency. If in the past we had to spend many time to launch some training courses, to agree with offices. Now it's getting just in a nick of time. We have 37 universities partnering with us, and these universities are very strong, not only Moscow and St. Petersburg, regional universities. If we speak about the future occupations, we can speak about it very easily because everything is hinged around AI. And of course, media is taking a big chunk, but the basic competence is AI, which is integrated into everything, be creative or media vector or humanitarian sciences. Everywhere AI is present, so the occupation of the future are predetermined by AI and these competences. And we, as a company, we are developing the curricula, which contain also our practices, but we have to train students to select and then stay in this occupation. We do our best to put together formats, unique formats. If we were speaking about books, how we chose our occupations, now youth is not reading that much as we did. So we now pay attention to media formats. We should do something to make our eyes of youth sparkling, and we're just heating up this enthusiasm. A big team is working to develop new formats to keep this potential just employees attracted. There's a demand for wow effects, and we are doing our best to just integrate these wow effects and not to disturb the foundation base provided by university and high school. Thank you. Do you have anything innovative which no university has, and we foresee having it, and you launch education programs? I think our demand is hinged on products and processes. So I will repeat myself. Everything is hinged around AI, and we just started a department in St. Petersburg. And I think this is an innovative and fantastic approach. This is not just a department as we consider it. It's a small part of a corporation. We modeled all processes, corporation processes. They are studied in the department, starting with the operational mechanisms, ending up with everything that any corporation has. And repeating my thought, neural networks, AI, everything is underpinned by it, and we are learning to select formats. While education system experiments, we are helping with generating multiplicity of formats. Dmitry, many of attendees are familiar with your forecasts, how things will develop. What your forecasts are telling now? What occupations are getting popular? Colleagues, I will disappoint you. The future is laughing at our consensus. Roughly everything what has been said most likely won't happen. The future is not extrapolated from the past. The mechanisms operate in different manner. And the future doesn't care about the Ministry of Education or the concepts of writers, science fiction writers. It works following different mechanisms. And if we are serious, we should say very sad things. First, you have to prove that you are wrong. if you are serious to handle with future. For instance, you cannot teach in the high school AI. You can teach mathematics, physics, and to teach artificial intelligence, which skipped 4 generations or 4 last years, which requires different approach to education, is a meaningless thing. So once again, so not consensus drives this game. It works differently. The only way to find the right answer, to have a multiplicity of wrong answers. Biology works well as it has billions of years of evolution, and it says that the precondition of survival deals with multiplicity. To which we are moving this century. We handle various challenges and catastrophic events, describing which you end up in cognitive trap. Either you speak truth or you sound inspirational. You should take side. So inspire or be ready to reality. Different strategies, different competence models for each student. And the future will laugh many times about our decisions, the government programs in any country in the world in a different way. So either if you invest into a concept which in 1 year time turns bad or wrong, and you justify your mistake, or you follow numerous standpoints, wrong standpoints, and you are doing many mistakes, but these mistakes should be easy and cheap. Easy to fix and cheap. And if your economy allows making many mistakes, then this makes you better prepared to the future. So this is, in a nutshell, not to spend much time. This is my standpoint. Thank you. Well, this is a provoking standpoint, but it's worth addressing the issue we address in this way. Pavel, you are a member of the council at the Presidential Council, in addition to Geoscan Ltd. The council that you work, does this council address the science fiction hypothesis that Dmitry was saying? Well, indeed, the council think about that. But in the first place, we are thinking about contemporary demand of industries and economics and the technologies that are required. And we stay focused on them in the first place, and we develop specialists in these areas. The education cycle, especially high school, this is a long story, and it doesn't stand quick changes. And I think this is correct way to approach. So the situation is reflected in the family of each student, pupil. If we keep changing the curriculum as the technology changes, and technology is changing every day, every week, new solutions appear. And we have to find the balance between these things. And scientific community is handling this issue, and I would like to add that we're speaking about science fiction and speak about inspirations of engineers who is reading science fiction, and I'm just rubbing shoulders with school children and students. So we shouldn't inspire not only young scientists. The science writers are well prepared. We have to inspire engineers, not only students, because in a short run, this will give a better result. It will motivate many young people using all media approaches. We have to work in the channels that are available for the youth today. And if we find out that the books are not read now, if we publish them more, it doesn't guarantee that the effect will be tangible. So we have to look at the channels which are on demand among youth and work through them. So answering your question, definitely it's important, as Dmitry is saying, consensus, it doesn't work. The technology emerging during a clash of various standpoints. So step by step, the modern development will be integrated, but this should happen accounting for the system of education should stay conservative, but account for all challenges and trends. What can you tell about the
Unmanned.
drone unmanned technologies? So just now we see the trend of application of AI algorithm. This is the area which inspires the contemporary engineers, developers, and who will be applying these technologies in the future. So what inspires engineers in our company to make cosmos closer, the outer space closer? For us, the satellites that are on orbit became one of our drones, that we don't have to wait for it on Earth. It is orbiting Earth. It won't land this satellite solving other tasks, but they're quite similar. So unmanned technologies are developing, and they bridge the gap between, and the engineers are inspired by that. Thank you. Artyom, your company has access to a huge wealth of data about the labor market, about the behavior of applicants, employers. What are the trends and what is in the core of the issue? Look, I think it's worth mentioning that there are occupations not dealing with AI, and on the other hand, there are things that in the past we couldn't imagine. Unmanned technologies. If you look at the agriculture, a huge amount of vacancies dealing with maintaining drones operators, but nobody's thinking about how to process fields or just irrigate crops. And there are many occupations dealing with maintaining storage facilities or maintaining robots. Recently we spoke about the company, and they shared with us their concern how to fine-tune combines, the crop cutting machines, to save on fuel consumed. How to make these machines consume less fuel. Seemingly, we're speaking about the future, but the business stays on the ground, and the business is not concerned with the future occupations. It's concerned with today's occupations. We discussed with several CEOs of clinics, and we were surprised to discuss the ethics and high-quality approach that AI advised doctors to make decisions. And there are proven cases when AI, when it was employed in medical practice, is helping to diagnose disease. and there's a big chunk of ethics, how not to demotivate doctors. If we look at vacancies dealing with telemedicine, remote work with the X-ray machines, there's a big number of situations, and it speaks that gradually we're moving towards what we couldn't imagine yesterday. And everybody feels that AI will just downsize personnel. About 10 years ago, I worked in ABA company, and we were involved with translation activity, and there was a World Economic Forum, and just, interpreters are sitting in their booths. 10 years passed. ABB just was dissolved, so we can debate it very long. But big forums and discussion of the future, they result that the future proves that opposite things happen. An important issue deals with the fact that if business wants something, and then many things appear. We spoke about gigachats and what we need right now, right here. And the changes that are underway, of course, they will continue happening in those technologies, and they will be inspired by the engineers who are changing the world by their own hands. Artyom.
We had a session with German Gref and Dmitry Grigorenko, and there was a very clear idea that the artificial intelligence is not our future, it is our present day. What about the non-profile, that relevant professions? Is there the demand to be able to work with the artificial intelligence within your chains? Well, what is the work with the new neural chains? Maybe we are too impressed about the artificial intelligence. We expect that it will help us in everything, but these are just machine models. We create these machine models ourselves. There's nothing fantastic, but I'm very actually concerned with the fact that my son of 9 years old makes a question to ChatGPT, he gets an answer, and he thinks that this is the only possible answer. But the artificial intelligence is something that helps us. As a matter of fact, it came to us when the content is expanding more and more, so it is necessary to classify it. There are many formats, and we've been working with big language models in Avito for the last 10 years. So I think it's exaggerated. Albert, I want to ask you the following. Sberbank indeed is a corporation that is very advanced and is ahead of many other competitors. Where do you get the inspiration? How you inspire your technologies, your engineers? Well, we first of all, please esteem the young engineers. If you hear me, just go to the real life and try to get inspired by the real life, not spend your time on looking for ideas in the sci-fi literature. But at the same time, we have to prioritize and we have to understand what we should do right now. I want to tell you a story. I think it was at the beginning of February 2014 when a Nobel winner, Andrei Game, published a short note in Financial Times. And he said, we have to begin the fundamental science when a huge asteroid will hit Earth, and you simply don't know what to do. Just a month after that, a Chelyabinsk asteroid hit the Earth, and we indeed have to put the priorities and to develop fundamental sciences. Our priorities in Sberbank are the following. First of all, we look what is the value created by certain project for Sberbank, for our country, for the world. And the second evaluation is what is the technological novelty. And the third aspect is the financial feedback, financial return for the corporation. So we live within the combination of all this. And I like to a picture when a young man is talking to an elderly man. So the elderly man asks the young man, when are you going to do something useful? And a young man asks, the elderly person, when are you going to do something cool? So I've been working at the Sber for a number of years, and every now and then I carry out a demonstration day. And we ask the young people, where are your fundamental research and your long-term view? So this approach accompanies me during my career at Sberbank. What useful we do? So there was a question about the new professions and new projects. Dmitry stole an idea from me. Of course, artificial intelligence, when we talk about it, it is necessary to teach people with artificial intelligence. This is just the same like the army generals I get prepared for the previous war. Because the AI is now everywhere, and if a person does not get learned with the AI, this person should be thrown away from his profession. Actually, this is the new exoskeleton that allows to begin the new renaissance. We will be passing from one to another with this exoskeleton, allowing us to move from different industries, from different branches of science, from biology to chemistry to physiology, etc. And this is a unique thing for the future. And by the way, I want to recommend to your son, Artyom, to use VR chat. It works much better in Russian. So, and one more thing, we spoke about the push that should be done to young people when choosing the profession. Of course, the sci-fi literature is not predicting. This function of predicting of sci-fi literature does not exist. But first of all, it inspires, because it inspires to go further. We, the humankind, have two functions, and the sci-fi literature targets us at the recognition of the world around us, of the environment. And Neil Stevenson's books, for example, allows understand what we live for. And the second target of sci-fi literature, and Roberta touched upon it, is the prevention. And sometimes the sci-fi literature tells us you should not open this door because there is the evil. And a good example is a sci-fi movie, Moscow Cassiopeia, the teenagers in the universe. And in this movie, robots tell people, we will make you happy. And the problem is that the algorithms can convert us, the humans, into robots. And the only thing we can do, the proper education. but not the education in general, but the critical thinking. This is why we go to the universities, because we learn the critical thinking there, and we create the islands of critical thinking around us. Albert, thank you very much. I think this is indeed a plausible comment. And Dmitry Nikolaevich was very right to say that the future is built from the incorrect ideas. What are the future ideas? What are the risks so that we can avoid the negative development in the future? Roberto, the question is to you.
I heard a lot of very interesting points, so and I agree on many things. I liked very much the idea of the future that will laugh to us, because everything is completely unpredictable. I like the idea of the exoskeleton, artificial intelligence as an exoskeleton, for the future, absolutely fundamental. And the point is, once, 30 years ago, I wrote a book, I wrote a story, actually, that was called Indeterministic Inflation, which actually has been translated in Russian too, which was describing in the future a future shock that makes basically impossible to deal with the reality anymore. So this was the big problem, and actually this is one of the things that we start to see the symptoms of. Reality has become so complex and fast changing that there is, on level of society, some big troubles in metabolizing it, and so actually in dealing with that. Speaking about new professions also in the future, we have witnessed in the past, because of the complexity of the world in which we live, the tendency which became an obsession in specialization. So basically the society cannot work without hyper-specialization, so that everybody can do a single thing and nothing else. But I would again like to quote the very important thing, critical thinking. This is something that has nothing to do with specialization. Specialization takes you away from critical thinking because focus on only one side. But in the future, we will have the explosion of AI and the explosion of AI agents, which actually will take over the function of specialization, because we will have specialized AI agents in the future, which will solve increasingly all the specialized issue. So what happens that now we have this tendency, especially in the West, of over-specializing the people for functions that will be not needed in the future, because we will have AI agents do them. And we will have also robotics probably going exponential, because we will have robots creating new robots driven by artificial agents. So now we will have to go back to critical thinking, which is completely destroyed in the West, as the people are programmed to become functional specialists in one issue and not understanding the whole picture. And we will have to go back in actually creating people who are whole human beings with a classic instruction, with a wide range of information, of interdisciplinary knowledge. So people will be able to have critical thinking only if they have an interdisciplinary formation, which will help them to use the exoskeleton of artificial intelligence properly. Because without this exoskeleton, you will be out of society in the future. You will be without work, we will be without nothing, without function. But if you can use this exoskeleton, then you can make your life. But for that, you don't need specialization. You will need critical thinking and a complex understanding of reality. So this is why I think we will have to see, this is my science fiction, let's say, extrapolation. In the future, we will need to have people who become, like in the old times, whole people with a wide set of competencies, so that they can make, proper analysis, critical thinking, and so basically use this exoskeleton. Otherwise, they become useless, unfortunately.
Спасибо, Роберто.
Thank you, Roberto. Boris, can we have your idea, your comments? Well, I will try to be brief. We use the artificial intelligence and we try to apply this, the first thing we try to do is to produce the infant animation. Well, we saw that the infant animation is not available through the artificial intelligence because it doesn't have soul, so that to be able to attract children's attention. The second point is that we launched a project where the AI indeed served very well. And finally, if people lost their ability to invent something new, then the AI will eat up the humankind. Alexander, your comments? Well, in general, I agree with Roberto. My ideas coincide with Roberto. Remember, some time ago, we were discussing the robotics, and the physical labor will be replaced, and the people will need more creative and intellectual professions. But the point is that the AI now replaces the creative professions. But the point is, I agree that the AI does not have soul, but nevertheless people lose their jobs. So what will be in the future? I think we do have to get prepared for this, and now our educational system must be tuned up to this. But the critical thinking is indeed a characteristic feature of the Russian education. Maybe in Russian education we will not be able to teach some professions, but we will teach people how to learn. We have to teach people to learn it in any situation. Anna, your opinion? Yes, I think that the key risk is when we get oriented at the applied professions, because we don't know what will be tomorrow. When I spoke here, my key point was to form the competences, and at the same time it should be flexible. The system should be flexible and adapt very fast. And the risk is if this does not happen, we will face the real risk. Thank you. Dmitry? Well, the employment does not come from the economy. This is indeed a false belief of a big number of Russian economists. The employment comes from the policies and from restrictions. If we make restrictions for our children, this is one of the elements of the future. 99% in the robotized economy will be created by the people through the renaissance mentioned by Albert. And the proper education of these people must be the main goal of education. And just one important competence is the ability to ask a question that the AI will not be able to answer, because the AI is just the collected knowledge of the humankind. So if you are able to ask a question without the answer from the AI, then you will be able to create discoveries. So the main point is to be able to make inventions that are not the conclusion from the previous experience of the humankind. Pavel? Well, we have been talking a lot about AI, the engineering solutions, new technologies, and we see less and less the importance of the health, of the human health. Indeed, quite a lot of resources are dedicated to this, but the life expectancy should not be out of the thinking of the people. We should not forget about the biological health of the people. Artyom? Well, it is difficult to add something more, and here I want to add the following. I've been following the labor market for a long time, and what we see now is a transformation that will lead to the following. A number of professions will disappear, new professions will emerge, but the point is that we have to understand how to adapt and how you can learn and apprehend new knowledge as fast as possible. So this is the risks. Albert, your question. Well, if I knew where to take precautions, then I would do this. But I don't know. We can just build hypotheses. We are the humans, and we have senses. The biggest risk brought by technologies, by economics, geopolitics, is that we can lose our landmarks. And the biology actually created pork. The pork will remain a pork. A wolf will remain a predator. A human is born as a monkey or an ape. With some time, through the time, human becomes better. But only understanding of our goals can make us something more than just a human. Can we live longer? Can we overcome the limits of our nature? And I believe that there are two things that deserve to be lived for. This is the understanding of the nature and the beauty, the natural beauty. Well, friends, thank you very much. I think this discussion was very useful. Sometimes it was provocative, but our discussion was not an easy one. Let us be inspired by the sci-fi literature and let us solve the current problems and to learn the critical thinking. Thank you.